Okay, today we're doing a graduated scissor cut with a middle parting, some curtains and a skin taper. So the main focus on this haircut is going to be building some weight in the corners of the head and slimming the weight that's building in here while maintaining this length enough where it can be pushed back and it's still going to be able to dangle down on his face without going in his eyes. Another thing we need to take care of with Adam's hair is, as his crown swirls clockwise here, it actually grows forward on the left hand side. So when we're scissor cutting it coming back the way on this side, it sticks out quite a lot here and wants to ping forward quite a lot. So we're going to have to take the length to the right length where it's going to be short enough to taper into with the skin taper and the clippers, but also long enough where we can still brush it back with the curtains. So sectioning this hair out is more about the shape of the head and the choice of the length of hair opposed to the natural growth patterns. We're going to find the apex of the head, which is the highest point. So we're going to put our comb on the head. You can see where it starts to round either way. This point here, the highest part. This is where we're going to separate the back from the front. Find the point. We're going to go from the apex to roughly just behind the ear. I'm going to separate this off. So you can kind of see the natural recession point kind of separating out anyway. We're going to come through here. Now anything in this line here, on this side of this line, is part of the front. So we're just going to split that off as well. We're going to comb it all into the middle of the head and forward into my hands. And give it a little twist. And then clip it up out the way. What we need to do here is we need to take this area here short enough where the clippers will blend into it, but keep above it long enough where it's still going to sit back. We're going to do this using over direction. So we're going to take our first section. We're going to go from the recession here down to the ear. Split this down, control the other half of my thumb, comb this down here. We're going to scoop under, and we're going to have our fingers pretty much fully tight to the head here. Just coming away from the head a little bit towards the top, almost like a little triangle. I'm going to take section number 2. These are really thin sections. To the top of the ear again. Control the other hair on my thumb. Comb it down. Move his ear, scoop under. Push the old section into the new one. And then our guide's under there. So my fingertips are right against his head here, and my knuckles are just coming off the head slightly here. So each section's getting a little bit longer towards the top of it. So you can see it already wants to start pinging out a little bit, so we can't really go any shorter than that there. Now when we get to here, the head's going to start rounding away. So this is where we're going to want to start building weight and using over direction. This is called graduation. It's the build up of weight. So we're going to go to the top of the ear again, diagonally. And on this part of the head, we're going to pull the section down onto the old one. And this means the hairs, each section is going to get longer because it's travelling down to the previous section. It's not coming straight off base and straight out, it's coming down. And under there, there's the guide. Same again here. Next section, this is probably going to come through all the way to the back. So we're going to use the thumb, push the comb all the way through to the back, and controlling the hair above it with my thumb. Comb this down, pull the first bit of the section down to the previous. Find the guide under there. And then here, we're back on the flat part of the head. So we're going to scoop under and we're going to come straight from base, which means the hair is coming straight out 90 degrees from the head. There's no over direction here. Because we're back on the flat bit, we don't need any over direction. We're going to push that old section up into the new one. Join them together. And then we get to here. There's not going to be any guide anymore because this is a new part here, a new part of the section. So our guide is going to come from here now. And this is going to get tighter and tighter to the head as we get further down the section because this is where all our clipper work is going to come in for the taper. Let's do the same again here. Next section is going to follow all the way through to the back of the head. Over direct it down on the round. Guides under here. Going to stop cutting here at this knuckle when we start losing tension. Bring it down. And then here, where we're flat again, we're going to reduce the length and the weight down towards the bottom. We're going to scoop under. We're going to push that old section into the new one. Now we can see our guide under here. I'm going to spin the chair. Usually when I shuffle around your client's head here, but because we're filming it, I'm going to spin the chair instead. Now, when we're here, when we get to this part, the head actually starts rounding away here and here as well. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to bring these parts of the sections down here. But as the section travels round the head, we don't want to build a lot of weight here where the head's going to start dipping in again, or you're going to create a wedge all the way around here. It's going to be really hard to clip her out. So we're going to have to go more of a horizontal angle where we want to build the weight, and then as we get to the back of the head it's going to start going a bit more vertical. So let me comb all this flat. So we're over directing the top half down where it's round. There's our guide there. There's a lot of weight built up on here that we need to slim in. That connects perfectly with the first sections we cut. Still over directing it down here. Find our guide. Where is it? There we are. Yeah. And then we get to here. We're going to scoop out, and we're actually cutting vertically now, so the guide's there. We're going to slim down to the bottom again. So the sections are flowing around the head like this. You can see it start to have that shape all the way around. You can even see the springiness here we were talking about. So up here again, side on, it's going to look horizontal to the back. It's going to look vertical. Maybe cross over a little bit. Bringing it down. You can see the change in the angle of the guide under here. I'm going to scoop under. We're going to reduce that weight on the bone of the head here. Guide there. We're going to work that straight through to the middle. So the last section is going to cross over to the other side, and that's when we know we've reached the right point when we do the other side here, because there'll be nothing coming off at the bottom. Just going to cross over to the side. The further into the middle of the head we get, the less hair is going to be coming off, because each section is having to travel way further to reach the point of the guide, which is our graduation from the side here. What this does is it actually creates a triangular shape from here to here as each section gets longer, because it travels further. You do that from both sides and it meets at a point in the middle. Or it should do anyway if we do it right. So we're still on the round of the head here. So we're still over directing it down. And the more we get into this, the more we're getting vertical. Guys just under there. If you find it hard getting your comb and your scissors in under here, you just want to scoop in and under. And if you want, you can turn your scissors around on your fingers and get in here a bit easier. My scissors are a bit blunt, so probably won't cut it like this just now. Nah. If you got sharp scissors though, we'll cut there. So now we're in the middle. There's not really anything coming off at all now. Maybe a tiny little bit there. Now as we get to the middle, the head's protruding again. There's just a little bit to cut. Scoop under here. So we've got this kind of triangular shape here. It's getting shorter towards the bottom for the clipper work. So for the top, it's going to be pretty similar to pretty much most haircuts you would do on the top for guys. We're going to be square horizontally, but we're going to go triangular vertically. So we're going to do a section down the middle. This is going to be your guide. I would probably do this on 90% of haircuts, especially when you're cutting the top. The centre is the most even part. It's not round in either way, so you can pick your shape, square, triangular, or round. And it's not actually too bad lengthwise. If you want it to connect with the back though, you can take a little bit up from the back where we're cutting from our crown and just use that as a guide. So we're going to take the longest short bit there, make sure the head's completely upright, and we're going to go from here. And we're just going to get slightly triangular towards the front. So what I'm going to do is angle my fingers up a little bit. Now, if you were really going to want to exaggerate this, you're going to be keeping a lot of length, you would do your sections vertically the whole time. But because we're only taking a little bit off, I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference, so it should be easier just to we get this out the road and then we just cut it horizontally. So you can see where our graduation was there. And we're going to cut it square. So when I'm cutting above my fingers like this, when I'm doing the top, I never rest my scissors on my fingers, I hover them just above. And that's going to let you keep a nice clean line. The guide's always coming from the centre. It's never from behind when you're doing this. So we're joining it to here. As long as you're pulling it straight up to meet that guide in the middle, you're going to be following the shape vertically that you created with the original guideline. And then there's not going to be much coming off here, tiny little bit. I'm going to do my clipper work on this side first because this is the hardest side to get to sit, so, excuse me. If you want it to be symmetrical, you want to cut the more difficult side first, because this is going to dictate what the other side is going to look like. Because if you cut the other side first where it's already sitting nice and you get that perfect, but you take that to a length that this side can't do because this side's harder to get sit, then they're not going to be even. So you always want to dictate it off the most problematic area. I'm going to get a 2 guard and we're just going to carefully clipper into this area here, just bit by bit. Probably not going to be anything crazy high, just going to be a soft taper on the sides. Take away some of that, and then we can go for maybe a slightly higher one at the back. I'm just flicking out into this area here. I want to keep some of this. I'm just going to lift it with my comb a little bit, and just touch into that longer length. Get the trimmer, doing a little skin line. Foils. Get the old school 1 guard. Gonna flick into here. 1.5. Down to 1. Take a tiny bit of that off. And just slowly working into that length. Not putting any hard guidelines in apart from the skin line. And I'm not going to whack into it too high straight away. I'm just going to slowly push it a little bit higher and higher until it's high enough to blend out the skin line, but not that high where we're going to have to take any more of this off and it's just going to ping out. I can already see it wanting to do it. We're going to go 0.5. Now the smaller or the shorter the length's getting, the less of an arm movement and the more of just a little flick with my fingers on my wrist it's becoming. And then down to 0, little bottom line, tiny little flick. Brush any of this away. And we're just going to shape this up a little bit. So I'm going to tilt his head forward, take my trimmer, bounce my finger on his face, and then I'm just going to flick the shape up in. It's got blonde hair, so it's not going to pop out as much as it does black hair, but you still want to strengthen it up a little bit and give a little bit of sharpness to it. Just a tiny bit in the ear as well. So I don't want to comb all of this straight down here, because if I now shape this up and then brush it back, you're going to have the big gap around the hairline. So I'm just going to try and shape it up from where it's naturally being groomed to in this hairstyle. So I'm going to brush it back like he would, and then I'm just going to lightly touch into the hairline around what's sticking out and what's left. If it was shorter hair, then yeah, you'd probably comb it down a bit more, but I'm always using my finger here as a rest, so I can pivot here. Constantly combing it back to where we want it to be. Just doing this bit by bit. See how the flicks are much bigger with a longer guard. We're not so much scooping out like this, we're going through the hair. This bit needs to be against the head to cut, as your teeth are in here, so this needs to come through and then up like that, not like this. You don't cut anything doing that. It has to be through. So my elbow, if you go back a little bit with the camera and get my whole arm, it's a whole arm movement. It's coming from my elbow with a longer guard. And now we've debulked that. Now we know where we're not to go above. So we'll go down to the 2, smooth all this out a bit more. Don't worry about any weight you're creating here. This is all going to get scissor overcombed and blended out at the end. This will be the last part we deal with. You just want to make sure all this underneath it's nice and even and smoothed out. And just make sure the head's in the right spot too. And we're going to get our trimmer. And I'm going to put my skin line, I'm going to put it in where the hair is the weakest here. So where his hair starts growing this way, and you start getting these gaps, we'll just do our skin from here. The lighter the hair is and the softer the hair is, usually the higher you can take the skin, because you don't need to stretch it out as much to blend it. But around here it's going to get denser and darker, it's going to look darker. So we've got a good bit of room here to blend that out. The hairs on both sides are actually growing in the way as well, so you'll see a lot of people do like curved skin lines, and then you can do like a nice shape up, but the shape up here is going to be really soft, because if you want it to be sharp, you're going to have to go into the hairline, and it's going to look good for a few days, and then it's going to grow out. It's going to grow out terribly, so I'm not too concerned about the shape up here, so I'm not worried about extending that line down each side. And get the skin. Back to our wall one guard, the old school one. And I'm going to worry about one side at a time here, so I'm going to go here, here, and then join it together. So 1.5. Much smaller movement again, still coming a little bit from my elbow. And we're just flicking up to where that weight is and just grazing it off as we get to the top. And brushing all the debris away every time. Close to the 1. Even smaller flick again. Open it up again. If you need to adjust as you go, as it starts to look different as you're cutting it, then go in between the guards. Comb this back, make sure it's all sitting nice. We can maybe push a little bit up more here. Give ourselves a bit more room at the bottom. You're almost creating a little bit of graduation with this clipper as well. 0.5, and we're just descending through the guards and just evaporating that little line at the bottom. 0. In between. This guard here, 1.5, and we're just going to smooth out this weight here. Anything above here we're going to have to do with the scissors. This is too long to clipper, but we can smooth out this stuff here. So this is like a 2, a short 2 when it's opened up. I'm going to come around here a bit though. It's just going to lighten up where that 2 was blended into the graduation. We can close a little bit and just dig under a bit. Use our corner to get in here. Smooth all this out. And then we'll scissor all this. There we go. Alright guys, there we have it. If you found this video helpful, give our channel a subscribe and comment what else you want to see, and any ideas, let us know and we'll try and make some tutorials to do it for you. Thank you.